Hi, I'm Andy, and it's time for part 3. We're gonna jump right in and talk about what kind of comics I was reading this section of the year. And I first want to mention Iris. I have the first tiny little volumes here, so I'm kind of just considering this one book. But it's really fun. I highly recommend it. It is by Kyle Reardon, Reardon. And it's kind of just a little indie project. It's by Frontier Press, so you can buy this on Salvation Army's website, and it was $4 with no shipping, so if you need that to motivate you, you should read this. The long and the short, it's about a girl who is dead and then resurrected by scientists, and they have certain expectations for her. It's interesting, you should read it. Next comic is issue 1 of The Wicked and the Divine. I will say, this is weird. It's the kind of story where you're just thrown into it. They don't give you time to adjust or really figure out who the characters are or what this universe is like. It's just immediately into the plot line. I know that really annoys some people, and it can be done very poorly, but I actually think The Wicked and the Divine did it very well. Also, the artwork is just gorgeous. I mean, you should read this. Then I read Kerville. This is the first of, I have no idea how many. I got it though because the tagline just sold me. Yet another troll-fighting 11-year-old Orthodox Jewish girl. How do you not buy this? I would give this like a 7.5 out of 10. It suffered from what I think is very common comic book syndrome, where things sort of were just happening and you didn't really understand why. So the main character, for example, really wants to go out and be a dragon slayer and this hero, but you don't ever get a sense of why she wants to do those things. It's sort of like she wants to do that because that's what the comic is about. Overall though, I still thought Kerville was really fun and very unique, and I like supporting authors who just do something different, you know? It's not some super sexy superhero kind of chick, you know? It's just a little Orthodox Jewish girl fighting them trolls. Also, I must say, the trolls in this, super creepy. Definitely nightmare material. Not expecting that. Leaving behind comics, I want to get into the books I did rereads of. In preparation for part 2 of the movie, I reread Mockingjay, which I actually don't have right now because my friend Katie's borrowing it, so this is just a dust jacket. But of course, Mockingjay was awesome. If you haven't read The Hunger Games, by this point, what are you? Who are you? What is life? What is life? I then reread the first 3 books of the Lunar Chronicles. I absolutely love this series. It goes Cinder, Scarlet, and then Cress. These books, if I can hold them, these books are amazing, rapidly falling out of my hands. The Lunar Chronicles is rapidly becoming one of my favorite book series of all times, and I wanted to give these a reread because the 4th and final book, Winter, comes out next month! I read Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children, and didn't really like it all that much. Sorry. This book has a lot of hype around it, and I was really excited to get into the series, but I honestly just didn't think it was very well written. I don't know, I just felt like this book could have been a lot cooler. I want to continue with the series because a big part of the problem I had with this book was it felt like it was taking so long to get to the story. I wanted to know about Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children. I wanted to get into that, and it took a really long time to actually get to it for how short this book is. So I'm hoping that with the rest of the series that gets better. I read Iron Skin by Tina Connolly. I don't recommend it. This is honestly one of the worst books I've ever read. The only reason I even have it to show you is because I haven't been able to go to the used bookstore and trade it in yet. It was just not good. It was poorly written, the plot line didn't make sense. You know, it's a fantasy piece, so you have to suspend disbelief, but it was ridiculous. The romance was creepy and out of nowhere. Yeah, not good. Don't read Iron Skin. I finally got around to purchasing The Secret Diary of Lizzie Bennet, and this was so good. I absolutely love the web series The Lizzie Bennet Diaries, and this was just great. I was worried that it might be just a retelling of the web series, but you honestly got so much new information. I thought it was really worth the read. This book had me laughing out loud, it had me crying, it did all of the amazing things the series did, and after reading it, I immediately went through and rewatched the Lizzie Bennet Diaries because it's so good. I just placed my Amazon order for The Secret Diary of the Lydia Bennet, I think is what it's called, and I can't wait to read it because these characters are just so real. You know, when I was reading Pride and Prejudice or watching the movies, I always enjoyed the story, but it never felt real to me, not just because of the time difference, but the characters felt very one-dimensional. And I think particularly with Lydia's character, who I relate to so strongly in this, they just made it so beautiful and hopeful, and I have so many feelings. If you haven't read this yet, you need to buy it immediately. If you haven't watched this web series yet, close this window and go watch it. It's so much better than what I'm talking about. Go watch that instead. I mean, my videos are great. Don't click away. Up next is Book 4 in the Mortal Instruments, The City of Fallen Angels. I think by now you guys know how I feel about the Mortal Instruments series. Not my favorite, but this did have some cool stuff going on in it. I am continuing the series. I only got 2 books left, so whether I like them or not, I'm gonna finish it. I was bummed with this book though because I was really hoping now that the love triangle is finished with and the romance, they're just together now. Wow, it's really hard to talk about the 4th book in a series without spoiling things. Okay, so I'm just gonna say some spoilery stuff here. I was hoping now that Simon has moved on and is starting to date other girls and Jason and Clary are finally together and Alec and Magnus are together, which I love. I was hoping that the romantic drama would be done and that we could just move on to the interesting stuff in the book, but lo and behold, the first freaking thing that happens in this book is Jason and Clary having a romantic drama. So that's it for fiction in this video, but I have 3 more books to talk about, all of which are books by fantastic people about their fantastic lives. Or I could have just said autobiography, but where's the fun in that? First I'll talk about Amy Poehler's book, Yes Please, because I didn't like it. I was really hoping for something awesome here. I mostly know Amy Poehler from Parks and Rec. I'm not a Saturday Night Live fan really. And I just didn't really like this book very much. I found the writing to be kind of confusing because she doesn't like go through her life in chronological order. It's sort of just random stories everywhere. But I don't really want to critique this book too much because critiquing someone's autobiography is very much just critiquing their life and the choices they made as a human being, and I don't feel like that's totally my place. So I'll just say I didn't really enjoy this. But no surprise, I was absolutely obsessed with Felicia Day's book. You're Never Weird on the Internet Almost was really great. It delved into things so well. A lot of times in books like this, people will just tell you information that you could have found just by Googling them. But there was so much going on in this book that was just very personal and very real and intimate, and I really appreciated that. I loved how much she was willing to share, especially in such a short book to get so much information. Some of it was funny, some of it was sad. There were a couple scary fan stories that were straight up like terrifying and I was afraid for her life type stories. And overall, I did indeed find it very inspiring. Felicia Day is very much someone who just said, I want to accomplish these things, therefore I'm going to keep working until I accomplish them. And I could definitely use more of that in my life. So thank you, Felicia Day, for proving to me yet again that you're awesome. Last but certainly not least, the book I finished reading last night, The Amazing Book Is Not on Fire. I don't have much to say about this book other than it's very fun. If you like Dan and Phil's videos, obviously you're gonna like this book. It's everything you would expect from a Dan and Phil book. It's fun, it'll make you smile, it's also super cringeworthy at times. It was a good read. I also do have to say just about Dan and Phil in the process of writing this, that when someone can write an entire book that's really about their life and their success, and this actually goes for Felicia Day's book too. The fact that these 3 people were able to consistently write about what made them successful, yet still sound humble, I love that. So yes, this book was in fact amazing, and never did it catch on fire. So that's it. Those are all my reads for part 3. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope I see you again at the end of the year for part 4. I read Miss Peregrine's School for Peculiar Children, right? Damn it. I reread Miss Peregrine. Recently I read Miss Peregrine's Home for... Fuck! God, why can't I say this title? I read Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children. Nailed it.